Okay, it seems that we have enough number of members, so we can start. So hi everyone, and thank you for joining us today in the voice of SCADIC Scientist Adoption Academy. Today, actually, we were planning to have a common meeting like bi-weekly, but we were lucky that we have a special guest, which is a member of Italian National Research Council since 2008, and he is a specialist in remote sensing and mostly in SAR, synthetic aperture radar, in the application of natural hazards, and mostly focusing on landslides and floods and so on. So would like to welcome Dr. Alessandro Mondini, and I will give a short brief about him before he starts to introduce himself. Recently he published, actually, if you like, I can share my screen here. Yeah. So, yeah. So now, this is one of his latest publication. I guess this is what I found. It's published online. It's published in the Earth Science Reviews, which is mainly talking about the landslide failure detection mapping using SAR, and it's quite comprehensive overview about who is interested in dealing with SAR and all the story for the SAR application with the detection of landslides. So we will let the floor to Alessandro, actually, to introduce himself to you, and then I will explain to him why we are here and what is all about Scientist Adoption Academy. So Alessandro, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Omar, and thank you for the invitation. Happy to be here with you. Hope you can hear me well, despite of the mask. Okay,
that's fine.
Yeah. So welcome to everyone. Yeah, as Omar said, I'm a research scientist since 2008. Before, I used to work for an aerospace company, producing satellites and ground segments. And I've been dealing with CNR, so the Italian National Research Council, for the last 13 or 14 years. My background is in physics, but actually most of my work deals with mathematics. In particular, I use machine learning and deep learning for satellite imagery classification and clustering, mostly to detect new landslides using optical, and recently using SAR, in particular using the amplitude. So it's not like interferometry. It is based on the backscattering coefficient, because landslide leave a kind of clear fingerprints in the satellite images, and what I try to do is to catch them with clustering processes.
Very well, very well. So I think also in our group, too many members, they are either coming across this kind of applications, or they are putting this in their objective, actually, to work on SAR or the application of remote sensing in general. I would like to thank you, actually, again, for accepting the invitation to join us today to meet with all the, let's say, young scientists, and to give them amplitude to go through, to believe that senior researchers are not far from them, but they are waiting for the suitable place that they can meet with them. And this will take me to introduce to you the Scientist Adoption Academy website. Actually, the story is going back to 2020. The idea that in so far, when any of the researchers joining the PhD or the master program, or even after they graduate, usually they enroll in a few courses to improve their self in a certain application. However, these courses now it's become quite often to be online, too many platforms offering courses, which is not the one that it's, let's say, better than the university, definitely, because given by different instructors. But there are some students, they find themselves, they can receive the information from the different person. I mean, they can't understand all the spectrum of the topics from the university courses. But in the same time, when we do the research, we are sticking to the supervisor that assigned the university, or to the circle that we can reach to collaborate. However, there is no platform that can work on bringing those students who are willing to work, and those mentors or the scientists that they are well established, but actually they don't have the let's say the manpowers, or they don't have the young scientists that they can work on the specific research parts of their research. And this is actually one of the objectives. Second, if you see that when the researcher, he is lucky to be working with one famous scientist in the university or the institute, he can easily find himself later on in the domain of research. However, if he is not lucky to find the correct person, he will find it very difficult times to publish at least his first paper. And this is also take us to bring this student, the active researcher, in a place that he or she can offer their work, put it in a certain way that with the proposal, and in a certain way that they know what they want to do, but they need somebody to work with them in a specific place and a specific time. So we established this Scientist Adoption Academy, and within this 1 year and a half, now we have almost more than 270 researchers, and they are really replying to this request that they need somebody to work with them, not somebody that they send emails not answering, or they cannot figure out how to collaborate. And second, on one of the points as well, whenever I communicate, even for example, I work with Dr. Ali now almost for 3 years, but there is no one single place that we share our documents together or to communicate. Always we are Skype, or we are in this platform, or we are sending message or WhatsApp. So once we want to go back to this kind of archive or the historical correspondences, I don't remember how to find this kind of information that I receive in this or that project, and that's why we have our website designed in a certain way. So I will take just 2 minutes to show you the website, and then we can move to ask you the question that you might have time to answer it comprehensively. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay. So simply, this is our website. It's CAD Academy. It's designed in a certain way that it's built. It's oriented around groups. So we have different type of groups. So we have, for example, some PhD projects, and we have master thesis projects, and also within these projects we have sub research, like a research paper or like a conference kind of papers. So inside this research, inside these groups, which they're equivalent to research to project, we are expecting to have members inside of it, like forum. So inside this group, whenever you create it, you can consider it as a private, so you can close it to the and keep it specified to the members that you have, or you can even keep it open as public place for communication. So these groups, that can be created by anyone or any members, and here you have the list of the members in case that you created your group for a specific proposal and you need somebody to share with you this idea or to start to collaborate. We have our members with their research interest listed here. Actually, the website is not that because you know the budget that we are working on, but we try to make it as much as possible useful for the purpose that we created about. So you see that our researchers, they have their own keywords, and from here, if I want to collaborate, for example, with JJ here, with Jennifer, I can follow her and I can send her a message, or I can invite her through the group itself. So when I create a group, I can invite the members that I like, then we can start communication, and step by step, when you feel that we are good enough, we can start to share the documents and so on. And so you have your profile and you have your updates. You can see on the left side of the corner. So you have the timeline in case you share something or somebody share. And also we have questions and answers in case of inside your research you have some questions that you want to ask for the others. And then also you can follow the updates of your group from one place. Something like this, and we are going to actually keeping updating our website in a way that based on the feedback we receive from our students. So what do you think on overall, Alessandro, about this experience?
You mean about your initiative?
Yeah, yes. Yeah, I mean the science adoption again.
It's very nice, and I hope you will be successful.
Thank you.
I know kind of, well, not too sim. Can I type something here? Yes. For example, I invite you to look at this for people dealing with early warning systems, because there is a community.
Okay, I am aware of land. Yes, yes.
In which sometimes young researchers are asked to present their works, no matter what they do. So there is a space for them to advertise their work, and this is for free.
Okay, very nice.
I know some other initiatives like this. For example, the SHARE program. Unfortunately, it's going to end. Let me find it. Here, they build up a very strong community in the past. With PhD students, they had the opportunity to share their work in official workshops, and they also got funded some of their research. So this is something like you can try to join to what I think you have to deal with. The main problem is to make you known. And this is something actually very difficult, and somehow it's a frustrating process, because you do a lot of nice things, but people don't know you.
Sure, exactly.
And if you don't have any, let me say, good connection, which doesn't mean privileged preference the channel, you don't know how to make you known. This is a kind of very serious problem. And the only way to start, I know, is to have a sort of well-known publications. But then the question is how to get publications if you don't work in a group. So there's no a kind of killing solution.
Yeah, like to start a job and they ask for experience, and he said, from where I get the experience? Yeah. Okay, so that's impressive. Actually, we are now moving in this direction, and as you see, our members are coming from different parts of the world, and some of them researchers, mostly now they are from PhD or master degree. And actually, let's put it in this way, their supervisors or their advisors, they are willing to help, but the development in the fields of our fields, it's every day it's updated. So these scientists or the supervisors, they are not, they cannot cope. Even for us, I mean, we can't cope with the development that it's getting every day. So and you know, with one supervisor, if you have 10 students coming from different proposals, they need that time and they need a scientific background to help them. That's why they try to reach us and to be in our community. At least we are like young scientists, we can help each other, giving ideas, sharing publications, or writing projects, something like this.
Well, one of the things we try to do usually, actually not right now because of the pandemic situation, but mostly in the past, was when, for example, you start a new project. What you have to do in your team is a balance of competencies and also knowledge about the test areas you want to work with. And so having local scholars is a kind of important thing. And sometimes what we used to do was to look for information a kind of randomly on internet and see people working there on the field. So people from, I don't know, Morocco, because we were interested in working in Morocco. It doesn't matter, they were kind of really much expert, because you know, you can be very much expert in mathematics, but if you don't know the area, if you don't know the settings of the study area, you go nowhere.
Yes.
So we try to involve local people, not really looking for, you know, big universities, but people willing to start a process, a long process, and a sort of an investment, like, well, I can give you an example, actually. We just concluded the project where the main goal was to set up an early warning system in 2 areas of India. Mm-hmm. And our team was composed of a lot of kind of very famous professors in very different disciplines. But what we realized at the beginning, it was like, you know, we under-evaluated the importance of the local knowledge. So we started to have local contacts, the people working there. So we asked people working at university if they were willing to work with us in a, you know, long-term process, because the project lasted 5 years. So we started from scratch because people didn't know how to map landslide, for example, map in the way we need to do for modeling, which is a kind of different for you know, emergency situations and things like that. And so we had a path. We started from teaching them how to do, and then they are part of a program, and the Indian government count on them for systematic acquisition of information. And they acquired background not only in mapping, but also on how to use those mapping for landslide modeling and landslide forecasting.
So you mean
universities?
Yeah, you mean based on this study area, you didn't want just to work from your side, but you wanted people who are most familiar with the area itself, and they can solve the issue that you can't solve remotely, and also provide you with all the inputs that it's needed.
It's not just like a matter of issues and going there. It's because local people, they usually have a better understanding on the situation.
Correct.
both in terms of physical science and social science. Because, when you implement an early warning system, it's not just like a matter of landslide forecasting, but you have to prepare a bulletin, alert the people.
For
Then
the
you
specific
have-
area, condition, and environment. Yeah.
Not only, you have cultural issues,
Correct.
regulations, and for example, local social scientists, they helped us a lot to select the right words to communicate the probabilities, for example. Or also the fine tuning on the models, because, for example, the risk perception in India is quite different from Italy. So the way we tune the model is to, for example, deal with more false positives instead of false negatives. Because in Italy, we can cope with false positive, but not with false negatives, and maybe in India, vice versa, according to the facilities they have.
Sorry, I will interrupt you just to make maybe some of the members that are not familiar with the concept that you are mentioning about the false positive and true negative. Dr. Alessandro mentioned here when we are producing alert or a system for like real-time monitoring. Sometimes this kind of systems, they are producing what we're expecting to call the alert, like say there is a landslide will happen or there is an earthquake will happen. However, this alert is not correct. It just came as a false positive. The positive, that means there is an event, but it didn't happen, but it's just an alarm. Some countries, it's costly and it costs like, some people should take an action, ambulance should move, some people should go to the shelters. Some countries he mentioned here, they are willing to listen to this kind of things. Like in Japan, I think you mentioned, or they are ready to go to the shelters 10 times a day without no issues, because they care about, to protect they care about protection, precautions. But in the vice versa, in some countries, like in where you have a low budget or the infrastructure is not strong, this kind of alarms, it can exhaust the country or the government. That's why they want something like fit, or they don't accept the false positives. So this is the point that Dr. Alessandro was mentioning. Alessandro, sorry, just I want to tune your discussion here into what most of our members facing right now. Most of our members, they are young or startup scientists. So they all having they face the same issue, that they have a proposal, they have an idea, or somebody invite them to work on their research or collaborate. But then they want to know from you, based on your experience, how to start the group itself. Are you going for a large number of members, or you go for just the one that you step by step or take caution? And secondly, how you communicate, how frequent you need to have feedback from the members, and then how to assess the quality, how to know that you are going in the right direction. Because teamwork is not easy. Some of them, they think it's correct, and it's not your idea. And the last thing, when to stop and say our product is ready to be published, or this is good enough. So I know this is taking like maybe course in the university, but hopefully you can give us an insight. Thank you very much.
Unfortunately, there is no unique answer for this, because it really depends on the context. It really depends on the context, how big is the project, what is the idea, and things like that.
Let's put it in one of your articles, for example, in the early stage when you started.
And again, it depends on the context again, because for example, the paper you show wasn't in a project. So that was an idea I had. So what I did was to ask people, okay, this paper is a sort of a multidisciplinary research because it involves geomorphologists, specialists in SAR processing and machine learning. So there are three main components. What I did when I started to work with was to contact people in my email list. I know they were expert or they could contribute according to their background. But the main point was that I already had in mind what I was looking for. So
the idea, it's come from you first. You are the one who I think,
My idea was to say, okay, now it has been a couple of decades since we started to use a SAR for landslide mapping. It's the time to recap what has been done and looking for weaknesses points. That was my idea. So the idea was to collect all the papers dealing with this topic. And I already knew that the topic requested different backgrounds. So I contacted people expert on the different aspects of the topic. So geomorphologists to understand the process behind the landslide occurrence, people dealing with different types of SAR pre-processing, interferometry and amplitude, and then people dealing with early warning system, which means how to use those information.
Okay, so and definitely the members, they are coming different background, the quality, also the experience. So how you manage to have a conversation with them or to communicate in a language that all of you agree on the process or on the
Okay, so first I have to say that I selected them because I already knew them.
This is because it's a mature work. It's like But I would talk if you were in the early stage.
The process is more or less the same in the sense that now, for example, I'm building up a team for a very large project that is going to be funded by the Italian government. We're talking about billions of euro. So that means a single project will have something like 5 or 6 millions of euro. And the project will deal with machine learning applied to SAR images. So what I need is, again, competencies in the different fields. So I contacted 3 mathematicians I didn't know before. Those 3 mathematicians have to deal with the statistical distribution of the input data.
Okay.
Then I contacted geomorphologists that they know the shapes of the signatures inside the satellite imagery, and some people dealing with the pre-processing of the data. And then we will put all things together in a machine learning process. Okay. Most of them were unknown to me. So what I did was to search in internet and looking for the publications, of course. So
it's a very, very good point. Yes.
The 3 mathematicians do what exactly what exactly want them to do. And then I called them, and I exposed my idea and also the framework. I mean, the project that the Italian government is going to fund. And they accepted to write the proposal with me.
Okay, so the idea, sorry, just to stop you here, that there is no problem about contacting the researchers. They are nice, they might reply you, and you might invite them to your work. I mean, you shouldn't stick with just your friends or the close network.
If the idea is good, then, and it sometimes, well, it depends on who you are going to contact. You don't really need a project behind. Just the idea, because for example, I'm willing and happy to listen to people that have a better idea than mine. And then, of course, the time that you can put for the project is limited because we are mostly project-oriented now. But still, you can save a little bit of time to work, let me say, for free. And for example, the publication you showed was without any project.
Yes.
So there was no context, just the idea. It took 1.5 years to prepare everything. It's a slower process, but if the idea is good, people will accept. So I contacted one person from the Indian Space Agency, a professor from the ATH in Switzerland, and a couple of friends. So it's not really necessary to have a friends, but it's necessary to have a good idea and prepare the framework.
Very nice.
And be happy and lucky to.
Very nice. So that's mean at the end, who decided that this paper is ready to be submitted?
Again, me, but this is because when you have an idea in general and you publish the idea, you are the first author and you have to take decisions. That's the way it works here. So you have the idea and you manage everything.
Because what I want to, sorry to interrupt, what I want to say that in some research you have limited time, limited resources. So as I saw that the team, they said it's fine, we stop here and we submit. In case the reviewer accept, it goes well, but in case he rejected, then we can continue. But in your case, I think it's not like this. You want to make sure that it's top notch, and please go.
For me, it doesn't work this way, actually.
Very nice.
Yeah, if you're talking about scientific papers in which you propose a new method and you have a result, you have to make sure that some mandatory steps are fulfilled. So, for example, I decide not to publish until I validate, whatever validation means, the final result. Of course, I mean, I've been working here for 15 years, so I can get the feeling about the quality of the results before the validation, or I can get the feeling that more or less the research is worth to be published before, but still, without any validation of your results, to me, it doesn't make any sense to try and publish, because now the system is a bit tracked. So you may be like in a situation in which you get not very good reviewer and your paper is published. Is it worth? From my point of view, it is not. It's not just like having a publication, but the publication has to match some standards in terms of quality. If the quality is too low, it doesn't matter if it is published or not. And so for me, I decide that it is worth to publish or to write and publish, because maybe I'm wrong, only once I validated my results. I have an idea, I implement the method, I got results. Do the results match what I wanted to get? Yes, then I started to write the paper. So, as a first author, but this is the decision which should come from the first author, who has the responsibility for the entire research framework.
What I got now, that maybe before 6 months before you decided, maybe, or 4 months before you decided to submit the paper, you think, or the level of the quality of the work, it can convince too many journals. So, but you took this 6 months or 4 months more to make sure you feel satisfied about it to be placed there.
Again, I'm sorry, but it depends on the situation.
Yes.
Because there are articles, actually there are very few, in which you propose something really new. So also your background is a bit challenged, and then you don't really have the real feeling till the end of the research. So in this case, the process is a bit longer, and it's kind of difficult to schedule all the activities. Now I finish this and then I start to publish, because it's something new. But in most of the cases, it's not like every time you propose a new gravitational theory or something like a completely different from the background. Most of the paper just add something to what has already been done. You add a little piece. In this case, since you've been working on this for several years, you get the feeling about the quality of what you're getting quite soon. So you don't really need to wait for the end of the research. And you can start in things in terms of publication, which also gives you a sort of guideline, because you know that in the publication, you need an introduction, which means the state of the art.
Correct.
Then you need what you want to do next, so the improvement of your research, then method, and then did your method get your purposes? Yes, you publish. No, you doesn't. You don't, sorry. But in this case, it's quite simple because you have read a lot of papers like this. And
Yes.
it's easier to understand whether your research is worth to be published.
Is mature enough to, yes.
Yeah.
Right.
When you propose something completely new, then the process is much longer because you don't really have the feeling about what you're doing. Then you need to be careful of validating result in a very consistent way. Then you decide to publish.
Okay, very nice point actually, because of we have, I'm sure our members, they have some questions to you, so I want to let the rest of the session to have some questions, but at the same time I would like to also invite Dr. Mu'tasim. He is a structural engineer and working in like industry. So he was working in the university and he did his postdoc and his research, and then he moved to completely to the industry. So also we want his let's say insight about what you talked about and about his experience now inside his new I think he just moved to a new company. And then I would like to receive some questions here, if you like, to Alessandro. Then after Mu'tasim he finish up, then we can forward the questions to Alessandro. So Mu'tasim, you are here?
Yeah, Omar, can you hear me?
Yes. So please, the floor is yours. You can introduce yourself to the others, and then you can give your insight if you like. Thank you.
Thanks, Omar. Appreciate the opportunity and appreciate you arranging this. And thanks, Alessandro. It's really interesting, and I totally agree with what you said. Just a response to probably the last point you mentioned. I just want to mention a few examples.
Mu'tasim, sorry, can you just introduce where you are working now and what kind of function? Because we know you, but Alessandro, I think, is. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. I done my PhD in structural engineering from University of Malaya, Malaysia. I done some research work and postdoctoral research work in Malaysia as well. Then I moved to Australia. When I moved in here, actually the main reason for me moving from academic to industrial was to find an academic position here in Australia wasn't easy. There are limited number of universities. The competition is very high. So we have, I think, something like 20-25 universities where you have a department of civil engineering. At the same time, you have 10,000 companies with that construction or consultancy, which means you will have, I would say, a better opportunity moving into industrial. When you start the industrial, then that's the start of the journey. You know, it becomes difficult to go back to the academic field. For me, personally, always like being in an R&D, environment. That's why I try to keep in contact with the ongoing R&D in my area of research. So my main focus is structural health monitoring, as well as sustainability and material technology. At the moment, I'm working with a company called Sydney Water. Is the main water and wastewater provider in Sydney, the Greater Sydney area, which provide the water and wastewater services to something like, I think, 5.5 million people. So we have thousands and thousands of infrastructures, whether that's pumping station, water treatment plant, aqueducts, and different type of assets. So my main role is to oversee the condition assessment of the assets, civil structure assets. and give recommendation on the required maintenance activities, and establish remaining S-life, which is a challenging exercise. So yeah, that's a bit about me and my background. Going back to what Alessandro was saying,
Please.
Actually, at the early stage of your research experience or research life, especially during your PhD or master's study, you're kind of forced to quickly publish your results, especially when the decision is not yours. The university, your supervisor put you under pressure. And this actually happened with me personally, where they needed us to publish. So I have two examples. One is a publication that I regret because I'm not satisfied with the quality of the material, but it's published and it have my name on it. And I'm talking about something that published 12 years ago. I wish I can go back in time and stop the process and not publish it. The second thing is a quality material that you will be forced to publish it in a low quality journal. And again, for the same reason, because it's quality material.
Very good point.
If you have the patient, because the good quality, the high quality journal, there is probably a lengthy process in terms of review and addressing the comment, and and you kind of forced to publish every few months, so you have to go and publish it. So again, that was another example where I publish a material. I'm happy with the quality of the material, but I'm not happy with the quality of the journal. So yeah, what Alessandro is saying is really it's sound and right. You need to be satisfied, within yourself. If you see that publication in 10 years' time, are you happy for that publication to have your name on it? Then if yes, go ahead. And the second thing, choosing the right journal or publisher is really important, because sometimes you have a great idea, you have a great material, but you lose that when you just submit it to any journal. So in summary, I think we all need to move away from focusing on quantity to focus on quality, actually.
So you are saying you were driven by the reviewers or by the journal acceptance letter. This is the end of the story for you. But on the other side, Alessandro, he was saying that we judge before we send anything. We think that if it's complete enough. And the difference between your example and Alessandro is about the time constraint and also the position and your situation.
That's right. So what Alessandro is talking about is for an experienced researcher, where you know what you want and you can decide when to go to the publishing stage, while back probably 12, 13 years ago, for myself and probably for most of the people in this room now, they kind of, at that stage where either we don't have enough experience to make the call, or either we are forced by people who have authority, supervisors and others, to move ahead with the publication process, because you have to tick the box and publish this number of papers per year or per study.
Correct. So, this is fact, actually. It's become fact. What you said is fact, and it's Alessandro is saying fact. So I might use the time, if one of you wish to share his experience, actually, or if you like us to ask our guests certain questions. So, Dr. Ali, if you have any questions that you would like to share with us, or Siham or Susanna, if you have any questions that in terms of how to develop the research, or if you have some kind of research dilemma that you don't know how to express it, either by finding the correct members or something like this, who would like to give us some time? Also, we are free to listen.
Well, let's start and see whether there are more questions for me or not.
Yes. If there is any, Dr. Aida, do you have anything that you wanted to ask with Alessandro? And We can't hear you, Ali. Nothing's coming from you. Siham,
Now?
are you? Yes.
Hello?
Okay. Okay.
Now,
All right.
absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you all. I would like to thank you, Dr. Ammar, Dr. Mondini, and Dr. Fayad for sharing their experience
Thank you.
with us in SCADAC Academy. As oldest and first member of SCADAC Academy, I will thank Dr. Omar for creating this platform. Is a good idea to share this platform with the researcher, especially for a person from developing country. As you know, the research here in developing country, Morocco or African.
Alessandro, he just mentioned Morocco. That's why I want something
Yes,
from
yes.
Morocco too. Yeah.
Yes,
So
yes, I know.
yeah.
The person from a developing country, the research is, as you know, is very complicated.